I'm going to get us started by handing it over to ITUC Deputy General Secretary Jordania Urena, who's going to introduce herself, the topic, and our first speakers. Jordania, the floor is yours. Please remember to take yourself off mute.
Muchas gracias, Todd. Y bueno, gente, de verdad, es un placer poder saludarles, compañeros, compañeras, en todos los horarios que se encuentren. Como decía Todd, soy Jordania Ureña, secretaria general adjunta de la Confederación Sindical Internacional, y es un placer para mí poder darles la bienvenida a esta llamada, poder agradecerles el estar aquí en este espacio donde vamos a poder hablar un poco sobre cómo podríamos organizarnos o organizar a nuestros compañeros y compañeras para vencer este golpe de los multimillonarios contra la democracia. Los trabajadores, las trabajadoras están atravesando un momento duro, un momento difícil y sin embargo hay muchos retos alrededor de esto y hay que tomar acciones, hay que asumir nuestro rol como trabajadores y trabajadoras y saber cómo podemos combatir todos estos golpes antidemocráticos y todas estas decisiones de los grandes millonarios que responden solamente a sus intereses. En nuestros días sabemos que hay muchas ocupaciones, que hay algunos desafíos que tienen que ver con las tecnologías, que en algunos casos empeoran la situación, pero hay que accionar. Y aquí la gente a veces se siente hasta que está siendo dejado atrás y como si la democracia no estuviera funcionando para nuestra clase trabajadora. Sabemos que los políticos de extrema derecha están dificultando el poder unirse a un sindicato, pero también organizarse en un sindicato. Y en estos días la CCI lanzó el Índice Global de los Derechos 2025. Aquí se encontraron datos sumamente preocupantes. Uno de ellos es que los trabajadores y las trabajadoras en el 74% de los países, pues se les ha negado la libertad de asociación y el derecho a organizarse. Esto obviamente tiene mucho que ver con las decisiones de quienes están detrás de estos gobiernos, de los gobiernos elegidos democráticamente, ¿no? Que son estos grandes millonarios que hacen una inversión fuerte en campañas, pero sabemos cuál es la intención trasfondo en esta inversión, que es generar medidas que respondan a los intereses de ellos y no a la de la clase trabajadora. El año pasado, estuvimos viendo un informe sobre algunas empresas que socavan la democracia. Lo hicimos aquí en la CCI, hicimos un evento interesantísimo y algunas de estas empresas como Amazon, como Meta, como Tesla, como Exxon, fueron nombradas como las peores empresas de las que se negaban, de las que socavaban la democracia, pero que también tenían un alto nivel de agenda antisindical. Por eso sabemos que lamentablemente las grandes decisiones, como decíamos anteriormente, están siendo tomadas por los grandes millonarios y quienes están detrás de estas empresas. Pero desde la CCI rechazamos este tipo de futuro y ofrecemos una especie de alternativa. Hablamos de un nuevo contrato social y sabemos que podemos ganar, que no es fácil el panorama, que es difícil, que los golpes son grandes, que es fuerte lo que estamos viviendo, pero que también podemos ganar porque a lo largo de nuestra historia las trabajadoras y los trabajadores han sabido unirse para superar los autoritarismos, ya sean tanto en los gobiernos como también en las empresas. Y necesitamos ganar un cambio que sea real. Y en cada capítulo que se ha dado en la historia, la idea siempre fue que no existiera el poder de los trabajadores y las trabajadoras. Pero esto fue construido a través de un trabajo transformador del movimiento sindical, de las trabajadoras y los trabajadores que se organizan y organizan a sus compañeros y compañeras como parte central de nuestra estrategia sindical, pero esto a nivel sectorial, a nivel nacional y a nivel internacional. Por eso queremos crecer, queremos avanzar en este sentido y superar esta agenda multimillonaria, poder persuadir a los gobiernos para que se adopte una mejor política y que se puedan ganar acuerdos justos y estabilizar nuestras organizaciones en medio de tantos ataques globales. Necesitamos para ello abrir nuestras puertas a millones de trabajadores y trabajadoras que aún no están organizados y organizadas en el mundo. Por eso la CCI ITUC está sumamente emocionada de lanzar esta asociación con Organizing for Power para que las organizaciones pues puedan ver cómo ponemos a disposición de nuestras afiliadas esta alianza y este esfuerzo, cómo lo ponemos a disposición de los sindicatos, de los trabajadores y trabajadoras de todo el mundo. Compañeros y compañeras, nuestro poder como sindicatos es el resultado directo de lo bien que podemos organizarnos y del activismo de nuestra gente, de nuestros miembros. Y por eso se requiere una inversión real en el tema de la organización. Se requiere una inversión real en seguir defendiendo la democracia, una democracia verdadera en nuestros sindicatos, una mente también abierta a las nuevas formas de organización, a las nuevas formas de trabajo que puedan surgir y esperamos que nuestros afiliados, nuestras afiliadas se animen a formar grupos de trabajadores para unirse a estas capacitaciones. Y tanto desde la CCI como de Organizing for Power, queremos escuchar algunos comentarios o los comentarios que tengan, que sean de manera honesta, ¿no? A medida de que se desarrolle, pues, esta asociación. Reiterar el agradecimiento por asistir, reiterarles que entendemos la importancia de la organización y que por eso nos estamos moviendo y estructurando, pues, en este sentido, este esfuerzo. Así que muchas gracias por la atención y con esto me gustaría pasar la palabra a nuestro compañero Ethan Errol, creo que lo dije bien, quien es el
Muy
coordinador
bien.
general de Organizing for Power. Ethan, por favor, el piso es tuyo.
Gracias, gracias, Jordania. Gracias también por describir lo que está en juego en este mundo, en este momento. Et merci à vous tous d'être ici avec nous aujourd'hui. Assalamu alaikum also to our Arabic language sisters and brothers who are here with us, and hello to all of you. I see old friends from different parts of the world, from Brazil, from India, from Indonesia, and a number of new friends or friends in the making. So thanks again to Jordania, to the whole ITUC team, including the folks who are doing the behind the scenes work, and again to all of you for being here today. My name is Ethan Earl. Again, I am the co-founder and now co-coordinator of Organizing for Power, which is a global training program that teaches the core fundamentals of organizing. Organizing for Power, or O4P as we call it, was founded in 2019 as an online program that is designed to teach the concrete methods of deep organizing and at a very fundamental level, how to build majority-driven campaigns that can win power. Since its founding, O4P has trained more than 45,000 people from over 120 countries. And today we are proud to be here with ITUC to invite all of you to join that community. From a global agreement with the world's largest call center company to educator strikes from Los Angeles to Minneapolis to London, from an innovative campaign that brought together bus drivers and climate activists to community coalition rent control victories from Vancouver to Berlin, the creation of regional organizing hubs in India and the Philippines, plus victories big and small from Tanzania to Peru to New Zealand and beyond. O4P works across the globe to support unions like yours and other organizations who are fighting to make this world a better place. So Cordania already outlined this well, and I don't want to repeat her, but we do need a lot more of this right now. Our world is literally on fire, and billionaires and their authoritarian wingmen look pretty much prepared to burn it all down in their addiction-fueled pursuit of adding zeros to the ends of large numbers in their offshore bank accounts. And it is up to us to make sure that this is not just some game of zeros and ones that is played by a select few haters of humanity. And we cannot simply wait for some superhero to swoop in and win that game on our behalf, nor can we count on 2% or 3% of our population to knock the whole game over. It is only by building disciplined democratic structures that are based around mobilized majorities of working people that we can force our way in and change the rules of the game in such a way that those who actually produce wealth are able to make decisions about that wealth and bring it home to their families and to their communities. And it is only by changing the game in such a way that it is run by ordinary working people, people who actually live the impacts of the decisions that are too often made by a small handful of elites, that we are going to be able to change the direction of spiraling inequality, fight back against the authoritarian waves that are crashing down all around us, and fight for a planet that will be inhabitable for our children and our children's children and beyond. And so it's you, all of you who are here today working in democratic organizations of working people, and all those whom you work together with and represent, who are going to change this tide. And we at O4P have just a very modest role that we are offering to play to help you in that process. Our program is free to all groups of 10 or more people, because organizing is a team sport, as all of you know. And we have hosted groups as large as 1,000 or more from Morocco's Democratic Labor Confederation, in fact. Bonjour, Cedete. Nice to see you all here today. Plus hundreds from the Netherlands Labor Confederation, FNV, hundreds more from the Turkish trade union, O4P. And I could go on, but before I do that, and without further ado, I want to turn things over quickly to my colleague, Sarah Reeder, who is going to explain to you a little bit more about O4P, how it works, and how you can get involved. And while she's speaking, we really want you to be thinking about how you can use this program to build the power of the workers who make up your union, and in so doing, join us in this global struggle to fight for a better world. Sarah?
Great. Hi, everyone. Buenos dias, bonjour, assalamu alaikum. It's really great to be here, and I'm so excited for this partnership and to see what might come out of it. As Ethan said, it's really wonderful to see old and new friends in the room. So my name's Sarah Reeder, and I co-coordinate Organising for Power with Ethan. So, as Ethan said, Organising for Power is an online training program that teaches the concrete methods, tools, and skills of deep organising and how to build power and majority campaigns. So the program aims to create a shift in how organizations view organising, and to move away from shallow mobilizing to a model of deep organising. And so what do we mean by the difference between mobilizing and deep organising? So mobilizing is spending our time trying to get people who already agree with us to come to our events, join our movement, take part in actions, or sign our petitions. Now, this is great and it's very important, but we can't mobilize the numbers we need to make changes at the scale that we need right now in the world. So we have to spend most of our time talking with, not at, not to, the people who aren't already talking to us. We need to be talking to people in our workplaces and communities who don't already agree with us and who may be indifferent or even opposed to collective action. And this is where organising comes in. So organising is how we move people who don't already agree with us and build campaigns that bring together strong and hopefully majority participation around shared values and objectives. And we use a disciplined approach to hold this majority together and ensure that the objectives we have set can be won for the benefit of all workers and members of the community. And in order to do this, in order to deeply organize, it's not enough to be committed. You need to practice the methods of deep organising. So organising, it can be learnt and it must be practiced. And for those of you who have come through our program before, you know that we talk a lot about practice and how much even the training team, all of whom are experienced organizers, keep practicing. So in our core trainings, and Ethan will tell you later about the next program we have coming up, we teach the methods and skills needed for deep organizing. These include, for example, leader identification. So how do you identify the organic leaders in a movement or a workplace? Who are the people who have the capacity to lead their co-workers into collective action? And how are leaders different to activists, who are also important, but they are different? We learn how organic leaders aren't always the person you think they are, and often they're the person you don't think. So we teach you how to hold effective one-to-one structured organizing conversations. We have a session that teaches how the words you use when you have these conversations matter. And the words you use can be the thing that makes a difference in empowering workers and getting them to understand that nothing is going to change without them. We also teach simple tools for tracking how much power you have, how much you have built, and how you can use campaign actions to track and test your power and work out how many workers are actually committed to your campaign. Now, these methods that we teach, they're not new. We didn't come up with them. They came out of a long organizing tradition that goes back at least to the 1930s. But this organizing tradition has largely been left to the side in favor of mass mobilizing efforts in recent decades. And so Jane McAlevey, the organizer who founded this course, she was taught these methods by her mentors, and she dedicated her life to practicing and teaching these methods. You can read about them in one of her books, and maybe Ethan can share a link to her page. We were very sad that Jane passed away, as many of you know, just under a year ago. And she left us not only with her work and this training program, which is part of her legacy, but with the belief that we can, in fact, win and we can make change happen, but only through methods, real discipline, and commitment. So that's an idea of the foundation of our training program. And what does it actually look like to take part in one of our trainings? So joining one of our programs is an organizing exercise in itself. As Ethan said, our programs are free of charge, but you do have to form a group of at least 10 people to take part. And we have groups ranging from as small as 10 to as large as 1,200, as Ethan said, with our comrades in Morocco, from all around the world and in different contexts. Many groups, and some of you here today, come through the program once, and then you keep coming back time and time again, recruiting more new and experienced organizers each time. So when you join one of our programs, your group will assign a group lead and a facilitator who are responsible for coordinating your group and supporting your members through the program. You take part in hosting and facilitating weekly practice sessions and homework assignments. Again, the importance of practice. And this process, it not only strengthens your group, but it also builds the leadership skills of the group lead and facilitator. And you can choose to have 2 or 3 people do this role, building the skills of different people in your groups. Many of the groups that do come back and do the training again, they have participants become group leads and facilitators the next year to build their experience. So the trainings themselves are split between global plenaries and small group practice sessions where you work through exercises to put into practice what is taught in the plenary. You also meet with your group in between sessions to complete homework assignments and discuss how to apply the methods in your context. So to give you an idea, this year in our 6-week program, we welcomed over 3,000 people from over 70 countries who graduated from the training. We held the program in 9 languages. But actually, since we started running our trainings, we've done them in more than 20 languages. We are open to adding new languages, but this is usually dependent on having at least 100 registered participants in a language group. So from our side, we provide a lot of support to groups taking part in the program. So if you decide you would like to organize a group to come through it, we run preparation sessions in several languages before the program begins. We provide a guide for all participants and all group leads and facilitators in the different languages, as well as sending regular emails and having a WhatsApp group for facilitators and group leads. Something we've done with other global union federations is run specific preparation sessions. So for example, we could run one for ITUC or for specific affiliates and regions. Now, we are, as a program, already working with most of the global union federations to support them to bring large numbers of participants through the program. And each of these partnerships looks a little different. So as Ethan said, you can each think about what your role with O4P could be and how that partnership could look. For example, affiliates have used this program to run institutional-wide union trainings to shift the culture towards a deep organizing model and to develop a common organizing language and shared understanding of the concepts, to get workers organizing in a deep way and to stop seeing the union merely as a service provider. Others have used O4P as an external training that serves as a vehicle to bring people together and to develop a campaign plan they have been working on, or as a way of being exposed to new or different ideas and examples from different countries and contexts to challenge their usual way of doing things. Some unions use this program to train all of their staff, so new staff that join their union come through the program, and others use it to complement in-person trainings that they are running and to prepare the terrain in advance for their next steps, which they carry out in person. So our next program will teach the core fundamentals of organizing over 4 sessions, and it starts on November 18th. I think Todd will be sharing an ITUC form that you can fill out so that we can get in touch with you and follow up with more information about how to take part. So I hope that that gives you an idea about our training and the different ways you can use our program to strengthen your organizing and the work that you do. And I will hand it back over to Ethan to wrap up from our side.
Great. Yeah, thanks so much for that overview, Sarah. That was good. And I think, in fact, that it was so good that I'm not going to say too much more right now. I realize that we as O4P have been speaking for about 20 minutes. And I also really see so many friends of the program, folks who can give their own testimonials, who can say things that we can't say, who are with us here today. So I'm going to conclude quickly and hand things back to our partners at ITUC. But before doing that, I just want to emphasize really one point that Sarah made, which is that there are a lot of different ways to take this program. We have hosted groups of 10 staff organizers, or 20 members of a leadership team, or 50 members of a union local, or hundreds of rank and file members from across an entire national union structure. We have worked with unions that have little to no recent experience in organizing, and we have worked with unions who frankly could be teaching the course instead of us, but who nonetheless want to take advantage of the opportunity either to meet others around the world who are engaged in the same struggles as they are, or to help give momentum to a flagging campaign, or quite simply because good organizers never stop practicing and never stop learning. We have likewise worked with unions who have been able to import the methods that we teach wholesale into their organizing work, and with others who are working under very different contexts, who nonetheless have been able to draw from our program important tools to help them in their work. There is not just one way to go through the program, and we think that that is fine. We are not a dogmatic organization here to tell you what you have to do to win worker justice in your country or industry. We are rather here to offer you tools to complement and support the good work that you are already doing. I think that all of us who are here today, we wouldn't be sitting on this call right now if we didn't recognize that we are in a moment in world history where we simply do not have time not to be sharing what resources we have. And we do not have time to go on losing in the way that we are. So please do sign up onto ITUC's forum to receive more information. As Sarah mentioned, we will be holding a next large format event starting on November 18th, which gives you plenty of time to check in with us about languages, to check in with folks at your union, and to begin to assemble your own cohort, whether that's 10 people or 20 or 50 or 1,000. So yeah, we are excited to be here. Want to leave the rest of this time for folks who joined us to weigh in with their own thoughts and questions, and we're available for any thoughts or doubts that you may have. So on that note, thanks again for your attention, and I'll just go ahead and pass things over to Todd and our partners at ITUC, with whom we're really excited to be making this offering.
Thank you so much, Ethan, and thank you, Sarah, for that introduction. Hey, everybody. My name is Todd Brogan. I'm the Director of Campaigns and Organizing here at the International Trade Union Confederation. I am enthusiastic about this partnership, not only because of the title, but because I spent a decade organizing workers in the US and Canada. At the same time, Jane McAlevey, who helped found this program, was doing incredible work. And so I got to see firsthand, and often would make a point of hiring organizers who had been trained on these methods because they were such effective organizers. But I want to thank Jordania as well for her enthusiastic introduction too, because for the ITUC, this is an interesting partnership. As a global confederation, we don't directly organize workers into unions. Our job is to coordinate the world trade union movement to win cases and campaigns at global institutions, things like the International Labor Organization or the United Nations, and to be a voice for workers around the world on that stage. But our ability to do this effectively, to win, like we did last week, we won last week a commitment from the ILO to develop a convention, which is a binding treaty on platform work. And this was the result first of platform workers in their countries organizing and unions in their countries trying to organize and confronting the same barriers again and again, and realizing that they had to work across borders through institutions to win at this global level. But for us to do that effectively, it really depends on how organized unions are on the shop floor, in the fields, on the docks, behind the screens, like so many of us are today, in countries around the world where we have affiliates. And it depends on workers across sectors collaborating at national level through their confederation, through the ITUC affiliates, to win the types of policy change or labor law they need to help organize. Jordania mentioned at the beginning, the state of organizing is not good around the world, and it's not for lack of trying. An overwhelming majority of countries bar some or many groups of workers from organizing or joining a union legally. The majority of countries in the Gulf states, where we see a huge portion of the working population, are migrants. Migrants are either barred from joining unions, barred from access to any kind of mechanism to have their labor regulated, or allowed to join unions, but barred from running for union office or participating in meaningful ways. And so we are confronting not just a difficult world, but an actively hostile one. Governments and employers do not want workers to organize. But we know, and as many of you who are on this call know from being on the front lines every day, organizing is the most powerful thing we can do, because it's the only mechanism we as working people have, the only method to really change our conditions. You can actually change your wages in a workplace. You can change the behavior of a boss. And if you scale this up and unite across sectors, you can change law, you can change policy in your country. And when you unite that across countries, which is what the ITUC's job is to do, you can win change at international level, new treaties, new international law, which can then, our hope is, create leverage back for the shop floor. So now that we have won at the ILO, and we will win again next year to finalize the text, but then we hope this creates space for platform workers all over the world to start organizing and to have international leverage to do it, to have pressure on their government to abide by its commitments at the international level. And as Jordania said, we're at a time when billionaires, where our employers, where far-right parties are actively building networks around the world to attack unions and workers. And so we have to not only compete, but win that struggle. And right now, almost 90% of the world's workers aren't in a union. So we have to really focus on how we change that reality. Because if our biggest strength is the ability to organize and mobilize people like us, workers, to win, we can't take any shortcuts, as Jane's famous book is titled. We can't take any shortcuts to get there. We actually have to do the hard work of organizing people who are not yet in the movement to join the movement, and of getting those who are to see that they are not just passive participants, but they can be organizers themselves. This doesn't take a salary. This doesn't take great expertise. It takes some skill. And that's what Organizing for Power offers. And that's what we're hoping to make available. And I'll also say, because I know there are people on the call whose primary responsibility may already be union staff, but their primary responsibility is not organizing. The methods that O4P teaches, that organizing teaches, are applicable in all kinds of campaigns. They didn't talk a lot about it here, but they've done this with tenant workers. But I often tell people within unions too, if you're a group of young workers who are trying to get more representation in your union, these skills are not only aimed at the worst billionaires in the world. These can also be really helpful for getting change in your union. They can be really helpful for winning policy campaigns. So it's a worthwhile to bring a group of 10, regardless of what you think, if this is exactly the right campaign for you. But our real focus right now is on organizing and is on bringing more people into the movement. Some of you may know the ITUC's Global Organizing Academy. This is a program of the department that I run, but it's incredibly limited. We're only able to do in the field workshops in 10 or 15 countries a year, many of whom are represented on this call. And it does really good work at helping specific campaigns get off the ground and keeping them connected to the global movement. But we recognize that we're never, ever going to have enough financial resources to do that kind of work in every country in the world. So when we talked to Organizing for Power and we saw, oh, here's a way that we can make at least some of these things that we want to make sure, these tools that we want to make sure any worker has available in multiple languages across the world, we jumped at the opportunity and are really grateful for them. But with that, I'm going to do something we rarely do, which is shift to Q&A early, which means we may end the call early. So this now turns to you. If you've been to an Organizing for Power class already and you want to talk about what you've learned from that, great, we'd love to hear it. If you have never done an organizing training and want to know sort of how this works, and you say 10 people, where do I get them from? How do I go about that? Ask that question. If you want to ask simple questions like how to sign on, or is there a recording of this video? We can answer those in the chat as well. So you can raise your digital hand like this, or you can put a question in the chat, and we'll give it a minute here for people to get started. If we don't have any people jumping in right away, I do have a few for you that I've already heard from people indirectly, Ethan and Sarah, so I'll ask. Questions or testimony from any of you on the call? The floor can now be yours. I don't want to call anybody out, but I do see, oh, here we go. We do have one in the chat from Fenisol in Lebanon, which is a new ITUC affiliate. As a PR officer for the trade union in Lebanon, how are we supposed to join? How can we relate to this? What's the most useful thing? That's question one. I'm not in charge of organizing. How can we engage with this? Question two, or actually testimonial too from Cynthia in the chat. We've participated in the O4P program since it began. After several years of participation, I can see that the affiliated unions who have participated and who use the methods this course teaches are the ones whose organizing is the most effective. It's a great endorsement. Another question from Andrew McQuaid. To what extent should we focus on reforming existing unions versus operating outside them? Maybe I'll take this one along with you. And then I want to turn to Robert, who is already has his hand up, and then we'll return to the chat for more questions. Robert.
Thanks very much. PCS has participated in this for a couple of years now. And colleagues, as an organizer myself, these techniques work. And I would strongly recommend them to anyone who's wanting to seriously win on behalf of members and with members. But just to say, the other great thing about this program is occasionally you do get to meet and talk to people from across the entire world, which is one of the most inspiring experiences to hear the campaigns other people are running, the challenges they're facing, and actually to waken members to the possibility of winning is a wonderful experience, and I would strongly recommend it to you all.
Thank you so much, Robert. And for those who are Confederation-minded, PCS, I believe, is affiliated with the TUC in Great Britain. So this is our Great Britain colleagues. Thank you very much. I want to go back, Ethan. Maybe there's a couple of the questions that were raised in the chat.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to run through just a couple of the quick questions that I see here. As a PR officer for a trade union in Lebanon, now different unions work differently, right? And I'm not going to step in. We don't step in and say this is the way that that you have to manage your own internal processes. But from our side, it's as simple as getting together a group of 10 of your fellow colleagues and comrades and signing up. It's not more complicated than that. That can look a lot of different ways. There can be much more of a top end institutional initiative. It could be something that's happening from the middle out in the organization, or it can be something that's a groundswell coming from below, and as people who are doing it on their time. So there are a lot of different ways, and we provide a lot of on-ramps, by which I mean a lot of different ways for you to get involved, regardless of your level of experience. Thank you to Cynthia for her lovely testimonial. Cynthia is a longtime member of our friends and family who has done amazing things with this program in terms of being able to bring through new folks, get them trained up, and really build out structure in her organizing work. Let's see, the Federal Union Network in the US was present in our last training. Yes, I can just very quickly answer that for you, John. Saludos a Edwin. It's been a little while since I haven't seen you. I'm happy to see you. Es un gusto verte aquí. In terms of, from Roman and the CGT, in terms of having homogeneity of a profession within each group, that is one approach that is taken. Absolutely. It is not the only one. So we have had union-wide initiatives where the only homogeneity has been adherence to a same trade union. But more often, it's true that we'll have either sectoral participation, so a bunch of teachers, or for lack of that, regional participation. So a bunch of folks from a section in Paris, for example, or a smaller city in France, to take the CGT example. We do think that it's useful if you have a common language to share, but again, it's not necessary, and that can look different ways. Courses for Sophie, and this is back to Lebanon. All of our program is completely available in Arabic. All of our materials are always translated, and we feature full interpretation to Arabic. We've had thousands of people from the Arabic language community who have come through our program, and you are welcome. Yeah, I think that's That's a bunch of
Yeah,
questions
let's,
from me. There might be a few others that I missed just running through it quickly, but I'll turn it back to you, Todd, or
yeah, thanks. I'll answer one that came up earlier, and then I'll hand it to the three people who have their hand patiently raised. In terms of, focusing on reforming existing unions or operating outside of them, we're not going to get into whether or not, this depends on national contexts and everything else. The ITUC represents more than 300 affiliates in 160 countries. And there's a diversity of them. Some countries have 3 or 4 or 5 confederations. Some have one. Some have independent unions that exist outside, that have, maybe hostile relationships or historically difficult ones. Some have independent unions that actually work very closely with the existing trade unions. So it really depends on national context. What we at ITUC do is we work with our affiliates to build stronger unions. And in many cases, like we've seen across the Africa region this year on platform, we see this sort of arms wide open between the confederations, the sectoral unions, the national unions, the independent unions of platform workers, et cetera, all working together towards a common goal. Our job here is to make sure that we have the strongest unions possible, however people are coming into them, and we focus on our affiliates. But obviously, Organizing for Power is independent, and their program is open, as they described earlier, to all with a group of 10 or more. I want to go to our comrade from Morocco for the first question, then from, I see Leida, and then I saw Edwin had his hand up. So Boutaya, the floor is yours.
Merci, camarades. Vous m'entendez?
ouais,
Oui.
vous entendez bien.
D'après notre témoignage, on a beaucoup appris avec Rosa Luxembourg. On a appris d'aller de la superficie vers la profondeur. Donc, nous étions toujours engagés avec For Organizing Power pour travailler avec eux avec l'acidité. Nous adhérons, nous étions allés jusqu'à 1200 camarades avec 42 coordinateurs et coordinatrices. Donc, cette fois-ci, la meilleure des choses pour profiter de cette occasion avec Rosa Luxembourg et CSI, c'est d'aller vers les bases. Donc, nous serions engagés de poursuivre cette formation qui va débuter le 18 novembre 2025. Voilà, ce sont des cours en arabe, ils sont formidables et nous commençons, ça fait des années, à faire cette pratique, c'est-à-dire éliminer les écarts entre cette théorie et le travail de terrain. Donc, nous allons arriver à de bons résultats et durant cette semaine, nous allons faire une campagne sur le terrain au niveau d'une zone où il y a dans une zone franche où il y a beaucoup de multinationales. Donc, on va aboutir à quelques résultats d'avoir et de recruter ces multinationales. Merci à Syndicat International, à CSI, et merci à Rosa Luxembourg pour nous avoir donné ces occasions de participer. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, comrade. And we are looking forward to continuing to work with CDT. My sister Zainab Aboudib from ITUC is eager to continue working with CDT, as of course is the Arab Trade Union Confederation, who have already signed up for this call, or for these classes in our interest form. Lida, the floor is yours. There you go.
Buenos días, un abrazo sindical desde Venezuela. Yo quería contarles un poquito la experiencia nuestra en organización. Nosotros tuvimos la oportunidad de participar en las academias de organización de la Confederación Sindical Internacional y de la CCA. Para nosotros fue muy importante porque nacimos hace 9 años como Central de Trabajadores y nacimos con 6 organizaciones y gracias a la formación en organización aprendimos muchas técnicas, la técnica de la vacuna, de la pecera, empezamos a manejar el mapa de poder y a entender cómo organizarnos. y aprendimos a organizar fundamentalmente mujeres y jóvenes. Esas fueron nuestras primeras experiencias, pero nos encontramos obstáculos, que es lo que les quería comentar. Primero, cuando fuimos a constituir nuestro primer sindicato de trabajadores no dependientes, todos sabemos que la mayor fuerza de trabajo está en el sector informal y empezamos a buscar ese sector para organizarlo. En el propio Ministerio del Trabajo nos dijeron, eso no es posible, aunque lo decía la ley, decía que podíamos constituir sindicatos de trabajadores no dependientes y que podíamos constituir incluso sindicatos de desempleados. Y el ministerio decía, no puede ser porque no tienen patrono y no hay manera, y nos lo rechazaban y nos lo rechazaban y tuvimos que insistir hasta que logramos que nos registraran hace 3 años nuestro Sindicato Nacional de Trabajadores Independientes. Pero toda esta organización, esta formación nos sirvió porque, bueno, hoy somos 21 organizaciones, pero la crisis de los países, por ejemplo, en el caso venezolano, migraron casi 8 millones de personas. Entonces, hoy tenemos más organizaciones, 21 organizaciones, pero nos mantenemos en el número de trabajadores, no hemos crecido porque la migración nos ha impactado. Hemos crecido en número de organizaciones, más no en cantidad de trabajadores. La otra, ahorita estamos constituyendo el Sindicato de Trabajadoras del Cuidado y se hace bien complicado buscar a los trabajadores del cuidado, a los trabajadores de plataformas, a los trabajadores en la economía verde. Es bien complicado y hemos durado casi 6, 7 meses para visitar los estados, visitar las regiones y poder contactar a este tipo de trabajadores. Entonces, no es tan fácil. Es bien complicado organizar trabajadores no dependientes por la dificultad para ubicarlos. Y finalmente les quiero comentar que la otra dificultad que hemos tenido es que a los que hemos formado en organización, a los organizadores líderes, generalmente jóvenes, que buscamos para que se formen en esas academias, cuando están bien formados y son grandes líderes organizadores, no los roban otras organizaciones de Naciones Unidas y se los han llevado otras organizaciones de Naciones Unidas y nos han dejado sin esos organizadores líderes que hemos formado porque nosotros no tenemos cómo económicamente sostener esos organizadores. Con un país en crisis, yo no tengo cómo darle lo que les paga ONU, por ejemplo. Entonces, esa es otra dificultad que tenemos en nuestros países y quería contarles esas experiencias.
Thank you, Sister Marcela. You've raised many common issues that we confront as organizers and trade unions, and I don't think we'll be able to address them all, but I'm going to hear from Brother Edwin, and then I'll give Ethan and Sarah a chance to reflect and respond. But thank you for raising all of those. You're not alone in many of those challenges. Brother Edwin.
Buenos días desde Ecuador, desde la sede CUT. Un saludo a todos y a todas. Un saludo a Ethan, a Sara. Yo estuve en el curso en el 2021 y me parece que uno de los aspectos fundamentales que hay que decir que el curso sí requiere bastante disciplina. Y eso es uno de los aspectos que a nosotros nos tocó hacerlo, ¿no? Con las organizaciones y con las dificultades que teníamos en el país. Nos sirvió porque nos da herramientas de alguna manera que no estábamos acostumbrados a usar. El tema de escribir, de detallar los aspectos de las visitas que hacemos a las organizaciones. A nosotros, al menos en lo personal, me sirvió porque pudimos con esta metodología poder organizar una transnacional que es la Coca-Cola y que con la que tenemos bastantes dificultades, pero con esta metodología me parece que es importante saber utilizarlo. Itan lo decía, no es una receta que con esto se va a conseguir, sino más bien te da herramientas fundamentales para poder aplicar en la situación real de cada país. Entonces, nuevamente un saludo, muchas gracias por la participación también a los compañeros y compañeras.
Thank you, Brother Edwin, and also a special thanks because you signed on to one of the letters from Luc Triangle to your government on the 8th of May, announcing a lot of this, and we're very grateful for that. I did have one question, Ethan, in the Q&A. from Cynthia, for those who have been through the class on sort of the format is the same as the 6-week, but just shorter. Will the times be the same, et cetera, if you want to get into some detail on that as well. But if you want to reflect on some of the comments from Marcela and Edwin, the floor is yours.
You want to go first, Sarah?
Sure. I was just taking some notes because so much has been shared. It's really great to hear from folks who've been through the program and how useful the methods have been. And again, to kind of reiterate what's been said, it's not the program in itself, it's how groups have taken the methods and tools and done the hard work of using them to organize. I really appreciated the challenges that were shared and some of the obstacles to organizing. And I think that's maybe one of the biggest challenges with Organizing for Power as a program. It's such an international, diverse space, not just in terms of countries and languages, but also types of workplace, informal workers, migrant workers, and also, as Todd mentioned earlier, we have 30 to 40% of people coming through from community organizing initiatives or movements like climate, feminist, anti-racist groups. And I do think, as Todd said, some of the principles of organizing groups have found do hold. They do either work, or at least it gives groups a way of trying something new that they haven't done before. What I like to say when I'm running preparation sessions is that sometimes hearing a lesson that might not seem quite right for your context might help you do the work of thinking through what is it that we actually need, how can we build power in the context that I'm in. I just wanted to say on that spaces like this event that we're holding today are so important to Organizing for Power as a program. I mentioned that we provide a lot of support to groups who come through the program, but actually more importantly is the two-way communication that we have with groups, with organizations, with folks coming from different regions. The methods are the same, but the way that the program is delivered, is in constant development. Each time we run a training, we do a lot of debriefing on what went well, what was hard, and how can we make this more accessible and more useful to the groups taking part. In terms of the format, so the very concrete question of our next training, those of you who have come through our core program before know that it usually takes place over 6 weeks, once a week on 2 time zones. So we try to cover a lot of the time zones in the world. This training that we are running in November, December, the core methods will be the same that you learn in core fundamentals. We're going to go through leadership, identification, semantics, structured organizing conversations, but we are doing it in a more compressed timeline. So there will be the first week you will have 2 sessions, then there's a week break where you will have extra homework, and then there will be a final 2 sessions the week after. We're doing this because usually we only run our 6-week program once a year. And actually, given everything that's happening in the world, there has been a huge amount of demand for us to run the core fundamentals again, that it's too long to wait another 12 or 14 months before we run this training again. So it's a great opportunity if you've never been through the program. It's a way of learning the methods that we teach and getting to know the program a bit better. And that is some groups who join, that's what they do. They get a group of 10 people together to come through the program the first time just to see what it is we're talking about, and to think about, the methods and the language. So I hope that answers some of the questions. I don't know, Ethan, if you want to add on.
No, I think those were really good reflections. I'll just turn back quickly to Bob's first comment made 20 minutes ago, and I know that Bob has just had to leave, but about the beauty and the power that's present in the spaces that we host. And we're seeing just a tiny glimpse of that today with the gathering that we are having. We have on a number of occasions had people come to us afterwards and say, you know, that the training was amazing in terms of the methods and the tools and how it's brought forward our organizing, and it has made me feel less alone in my organizing struggles. And we've had others who say, hey, I'm a rank and file worker. For me, international gatherings was just something that happened in hotel rooms in other parts of the world, and they were never accessible to me. And here I get to go out, and I'm a postal worker in the UK, and I get to meet with postal workers in Canada and Peru and Palestine and talk to them about our shared struggles. And there's something that I think is really beautiful and important about that. And I don't mean it just in a kumbaya kind of way, although I think that there's a utility to that as well, but it's done in this structure of collective shared learning and the development of our struggles. So it's not done in sort of an abstract cocktail hour kind of way, but in a very concrete way where every group is organizing themselves towards victory and intersecting and finding their commonality in that process. So yeah, just to leave that there. Back to you, Todd.
And with that, I think we will bring our call to a close. So I want to say thank you again to Jordania, to Ethan, to Sarah, and to all of you who stayed on, those who have been through the program before and are eager to figure out how you can get involved in the next one, and those who are hearing about this for the first time. As we said, we think it's critical, especially this year, especially now, that attention and investment be made in organizing more people into our movement, because that's what it's going to take to win. That's what it's going to take to save democracy where we have it, or win it where we don't, to overcome the billionaires that are trying to make this world a little bit more difficult for us each day. I'm going to drop in the chat again the links that you can sign up if you're interested for if within the ITUC. If you're not from the ITUC, we've of course posted also links from Organizing for Power. You can go right to their website and engage with them there. Again, thank you to Ethan and Sarah and to all of you.